What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this week's first exclusive segment from the greatest podcast on turf. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Anthony.
And for this exclusive segment, we are going to look into an early offseason look for some of the teams that are having quarterback and head coaching issues. Looking at teams like the Packers, you don't know what they're going to do with Aaron Rodgers and, well, not their coach, but Aaron Rodgers. Steelers, you don't know what they're going to do with Big Ben. Seahawks, Russell Wilson. Colts, Carson Wentz. There's a lot of teams that quarterbacks, we are not really sure what they're going to be doing. There's coaching situations that we are not really sure what they're going to be doing. So we are going to talk about that now and let you guys know what we think.
Yeah, don't forget to like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Show us some love. Use the links in the description to check out our podcast episodes. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok. We're trying to hit 1,000 followers so we can do live streams on there like we did on Instagram. Saturday night, it was a good time. If you came out to our Instagram and showed some love, thanks. We appreciate it. We had a good time. Yeah, like, subscribe. We got the studio coming soon. We got in there this weekend. Started setting up. We just got a few more things left. Probably like another day's worth of work left until we can get in there and start doing live recorded podcast episodes, so we can start bringing you guys just better content in a more professional studio setting with our memorabilia hung up, with our special memorabilia on the desk. We got a lot of dope stuff in the works. Yeah, studio coming soon. Show us some love. And speaking of studio and recording venues, none of that would be remotely possible without our amazing sponsor, My Family's Business,
Little Italy Pizzeria. They got the best cheesesteaks, the best pizza in all of Delaware. 2 locations. One of those is in Middletown, Delaware. The other one is in Townsend. We are currently sitting in the one in Townsend right now. It is a great family business, a great food, great people, great prices. You can see right now there's booths, there's chairs, there's a bar over there, there's a middle bar. So come in and check it out. Bring the family, eat some lunch, eat some dinner, have a drink if you're of age. Let them know that the greatest podcast on turf sent you. They will take care of you. Show proof that you are subscribed and listen to us. And they will hook you up with an additional discount.
Yeah, if you were on Instagram Live, you guys saw we kind of had a little get together here to watch the games. You know, that could be you if we're here on a game day. You can come hang out with us, chill with us, be on the live, hang out, have a beer if you're of age, eat some amazing food. And yeah, what do you say we get right into it? I think that covered all bases. Be sure to check out the podcast this week. We kind of just did a weekly recap of the playoffs, discussed our predictions, maybe took an early look into some of the games, but we'll do more an in-depth dive to that on Thursday's podcast. And the Packers. Honestly, part of me, I have a really deep feeling that Aaron Rodgers ends up staying in Green Bay. I don't think he wants to, though. Honestly, I think he's on a mission this year. I think he wants to win a Super Bowl so he can go, hey, Green Bay, trade me. I think that's what he wants to do. I don't really know if that's what's going to happen. I think that I want him to leave, and I think that he will leave. But I have a really weird feeling that he may end up staying in Green Bay. Where are you at with this whole thing? Because, I mean, it's been up and down, and it's just been a lot. We haven't heard much about it since the season started, but where are you at with this whole thing?
Personally, I think Aaron Rodgers still does leave because I think this season is going to be a repeat of seasons that we've seen before. And I could be wrong, and the Packers could go win a Super Bowl. If they do, Aaron Rodgers probably does stay there because then Devontae Adams is more inclined to stay there also. But I could see this being a repeat of what we've seen before. They're going to have to play the 49ers again this week. That is a very tough matchup.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, Raheem Mostert had about 200 rushing yards on him, and they beat him with ease, ran all over him. We've seen the Packers every single season get to the NFC Championship and lose. They've done it time and time again, and I think this could happen again. Against the 49ers, I'm not really confident in the Packers winning that game. And then playing against the winner of Tampa Bay and the Cardinals game, I'm not really confident in that either because it's most likely going to be Tampa Bay. So Aaron Rodgers is going to have to go up against a 49ers team that can run the ball, and then a Tampa Bay team who can put up points on anybody and can also run the ball. So I think, personally, home field advantage is huge, but if they come up short, I think Rodgers definitely leaves, and these 2 games are definitely tough matchups. So I kind of think he's going.
Where do you think, if you have an idea of where you think he'll go?
I feel like he goes to warm weather. I don't know where that is, but it's usually kind of how it goes down. Warm weather, a contender. I don't see him in a Miami uniform, but maybe. They said they're sticking with Tua,
so I doubt it.
I don't really know. Pittsburgh has the best team, maybe, and probably the best history.
But it sounds like they don't want to give up a bunch in a trade.
I mean, I know, but when Rodgers wants to leave, then your price goes down. So it's really up to Rodgers. Wherever he wants to go, he could probably go. And if it's Pittsburgh, if Rodgers wants to leave, Pittsburgh can make it happen. So, well, it's just time will tell.
Yeah, the Steelers are probably the only team I can really see. Maybe like an Indianapolis, good O-line, decent weapons, Jonathan Taylor. Maybe that. It depends on what
because
they
brought
want
in
to do.
Phillip Rivers to try it. So
We'll touch on that. The Colts in a little bit. Probably not the Niners, because they got Trey Lance. And you don't draft Trey Lance with the intention of bringing Aaron Rodgers in with 3 years left. He's probably
Niners might keep Jimmy G, but we will touch on that later. Next team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We just touched on it a little bit. Big Ben is gone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Steelers might be at like a rebuild situation. Probably going to end up drafting a quarterback if there is one decent there. Like I said, I think the only quarterback that they bring in is Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is the only guy that would go to Pittsburgh and do good for him. I mean, Russell Wilson will too, but I think Aaron Rodgers is the guy that they would want if they're targeting a veteran. Other than that, I think they just go to the draft and they go the rebuild route. They still have young pieces. They are an older team with young pieces, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
But they're in a tough spot, and we're just going to see what they can do. Mike Tomlin doesn't like losing. He's the type of guy that he'd rather go 9-7 every year than rebuild and reload. So, there's a solid chance that they go make a push to be a contender again. Time will tell. If they get a quarterback, I think it's Rodgers. If not, they're drafting one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough call for the Steelers because, I mean, the Steelers, they've always had Big Ben. This is the first time we're really seeing them in this situation where it's like, what are they going to do at quarterback? Ben Roethlisberger, they had his retirement tour. I don't think there's any way they keep him unless it's strictly just for him to, like, be a developmental role to a young quarterback that they bring in with the just letting him know that there's not a snowball's chance in hell that he's a starter, that he's just there to help develop, which I don't think he'll do. Honestly, I really do think they should go after Rodgers. I would be more than happy to give up 2 first-round picks for Aaron Rodgers because that's a guaranteed playoffs, probably guaranteed a division win, and that's guaranteed top Super Bowl favorites in the conference. The Steelers are a very well-rounded team. I mean, if they can bring in a quarterback, then that gives them the ability to focus on the offensive line, which they desperately need to invest in, and invest in a few pieces on defense, like a corner or a linebacker. So, I mean, if they can bring in Aaron Rodgers, that's cheap. I mean, or even in the draft, even if they do decide they want to draft a quarterback, they could draft a quarterback and invest in these other positions that they need in free agency. The Steelers are a team, like I said, that they are well-rounded. They are the best possible case scenario for an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson to go to if they want to win right now. I feel like the Steelers are ready to win now. They made the playoffs with a shitty Ben Roethlisberger quarterback after battling injuries all year, the whole team. So, I mean, that says a lot. And then you get Aaron Rodgers, the second-best quarterback in football. You automatically, in my opinion, you become AFC Super Bowl favorites. That's just my opinion, though. Even that's over the Chiefs, that's over the Bills, that's over the Titans, that's over the Patriots. I think the Steelers will be AFC Super Bowl favorites if they get Aaron Rodgers. But that's just me. I think it's kind of hard to tell right now, though, just because the Steelers said that they do not want to give up too much to make a move for an Aaron Rodgers or a Russell Wilson. But, I mean, I feel like maybe that's just they're blowing smoke, trying to wait till the playoffs end, see how Aaron Rodgers does in the playoffs, and just to see what they want to do. But, I mean, if they do draft a quarterback, I mean, there's a chance that they may have to move up because they're picking around 20 right now. And the way it works in the NFL draft, teams will move up for quarterbacks. Quarterbacks usually don't fall. I mean, unless maybe they want to take a gamble and see if a Malik Willis falls, or take a gamble on like a Desmond Ridder, a Sam Howell if he falls, a Carson Strong out of Nevada. I know that people like him as a fit to the Steelers. I don't think Kenny Pickett or Matt Corral, the 2 top quarterbacks, make it to 20 where the Steelers pick at. So, I mean, it'll be kind of tough if they want to land a top 2 quarterback without having to use draft picks. But me personally, I'd rather use draft picks to get Aaron Rodgers and to move up for a young quarterback with the current teaming that they have right now. Like Ryan said, they have a lot of veterans with some young pieces. And if I'm the Steelers, I would want to make a move now while I have all the veterans to get the second best quarterback in football than a rookie that you're going to need to let develop for a little bit. Next, we got the Seahawks. I'm going to let you take this one because I know you hate Pete Carroll and the Seahawks, so I want to hear where you're at with the Seahawks.
Seahawks are a tough situation. I would say that Russell Wilson is probably going to stay. He has said that he is probably leaning towards Seattle, but he would like to see the other options, the same as last year. If he didn't leave Seattle, he would like to go to these 7 teams or whatever he said. But I think that Seattle is still probably the best option for him. Seattle isn't that bad of a football team. They have the talent on offense in order to make the playoffs. So in theory, they could make it. But it's really just a messy situation. Russell Wilson was hurt this year, and there's a very solid chance that is what hurt him for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Him at the back end of the season was horrible. They were not a good football team at all. But at the very, very end, they started playing decent football. So maybe there is still a football team there. I do think that Russell Wilson still stays with Seattle. It's not a great situation, but I'm not really sure where else he can go. Maybe the Steelers, but I think that there's no way that Rodgers and Russell Wilson can move in an offseason. That would be too much. That would be too much for the NFL to handle. I think Rodgers is the one that moves because Rodgers has more power than Russell Wilson in terms of what he has done. So I would lean towards Russell Wilson staying, but it's not great, if that makes sense.
That's fair. I see what you're saying. I think that we could still see a move, though. I think the Seahawks are in a very, very bad situation. I think that they're going to lean more towards a rebuild. They really have no draft picks. So, if they can move Russell Wilson and maybe gather some draft capital back to try and build around the receiving core they have if they want to, it'd be kind of hard. You have a franchise cornerstone quarterback in Russell Wilson. But he's voiced his frustrations, and they haven't really done much. They bought in one offensive line piece last year after he voiced his frustrations about the offensive line. They bought in one. I know at the start there's only 5 offensive linemen, but one. And then they did nothing else. They drafted a receiver in the 3rd round with their first pick who didn't even play that much, if I'm not mistaken. That's probably the one position you didn't have to draft, and they drafted a wide receiver.
Fair.
Guess they're following the Bengals strategy. When in doubt, just draft the receiver.
Fair.
The Seahawks, it's tough for me. I could see Russell Wilson maybe. I think he'd fit really well with the Panthers. Or, Washington. If the Seahawks trade him, I feel like they're going to send him far away.
Russell Wilson I'd rather stay in Seattle than go to Carolina or Washington.
I think Carolina is a lot better football team than Seattle. Well-rounded. Carolina's a quarterback away.
No.
So is Denver.
Absolutely not.
So are the Redskins.
Sometimes you have to look at the team's pedigree and what they have done in the past 20 years. And I'm telling you right now, I would hate to be a Carolina Panther, Washington football team player, or a Denver Bronco.
That's fair.
They ain't warm weather. Carolina is. But bad coaching, I'm good. If I'm Russell Wilson, I'd rather stay in Seattle.
I guess, he's been carrying the team all these years. I know you hate Pete Carroll. Could we see...
Pete Carroll's better than Matt Rule, and
could we see a potential Pete Carroll firing if the Seahawks have hypothetically speaking, if the Seahawks come out and win 5-6 games this year, does Pete Carroll get fired?
It's time for...
I think so. And then I think when Pete Carroll gets fired, I think that's when the rebuild starts. I think that's when Russell goes.
Bobby Wagner
goes. He's getting up there in age. They don't really have much else. They have Carlos Dunlap, who was pretty good coming off the edge this year.
Getting up there in age also.
Jamal Adams, who they gave up a lot of capital for.
Didn't work out.
They have Tyler Lockett, who's, late 20s? DK's going into his 4th year. I think he's on a contract year this year. DK could be due for a new contract. So, who knows?
They got to win soon. And I think that they are a better football team than the other teams that you mentioned. And as for a quarterback that's 33, I think he's going to stick with Seattle.
In a competitive division with the Rams, Cardinals, and 49ers, I think they need to pull the Rams, go all in, bring in some big-name free agents, say, look, we have 2 more years to win a Super Bowl before contracts and before firing start to happen, so we need to do this now. And in that case, I think Russell Wilson sticks around. But like I said, I think we'll know a lot more about these quarterback controversies after the playoffs end. It may be still early to tell, but this is just all smoke in the air right now. Moving on to the 49ers.
This is the most intriguing one this whole entire
Yeah.
offseason, in my opinion. And this really relies on what they do this playoff series. In my opinion, if Jimmy G goes and takes them to the Super Bowl, if he goes and wins the Super Bowl, it's hard not to stick with him.
Yeah.
Even though their system, you don't really need the greatest quarterback in order to thrive in it.
No.
It's really just run the football, pass it to George Kittle, pass it to Debo, run the football some more. But Jimmy G, if he goes and wins them a Super Bowl, it's really hard to get rid of him. It's a tough situation. The Jimmy G has not had the greatest luck in terms of what he's been dealt in San Francisco. First year, I tore his ACL. The whole entire team tears their ACL. And then the last year, I think he was healthy, but everybody else tore their ACL. I don't know.
The first year, it was him that was hurt. Then they drafted Nick Bosa. Then they were good and made the Super Bowl.
And
then the year after they made the Super Bowl is when everyone got hurt. When the whole team got hurt, including Jimmy G. Then this year, Jimmy G was in and out all year. They drafted Trey Lance. And they said, yeah, we're probably getting rid of Jimmy G after the season. They make the playoffs, beat the Cowboys, now they're going to Lambeau. I think they were trying to tank yesterday, throw the game so they don't have to stick with Jimmy G.
Well,
that's
now
my
they're going to go win the
conspiracy
Super
theory.
Bowl. And
if the 49ers win the Super Bowl, I'll be goddamned. If Jimmy Garoppolo wins the Super Bowl before Matt Stafford, I'll be shocked.
I won't be. But yeah, this 49ers situation is tough. If the 49ers get blown out by the Packers, not sure what happened. I guess they have to stick with Trey Lance and Jimmy G has to be on the move. And where will Jimmy G go? I have no idea. Pittsburgh is another possible option because this is, Mike Tomlin saying, I don't want a losing season. Let me go bring in Jimmy G.
Yeah.
Because Pittsburgh can be a similar team to the 49ers. They're only a couple pieces away from being a similar team to the 49ers. They have the star edge rusher. They have the defense. They have the rushing game with Najee Harris. They're like a step down 49ers. So in theory, they could, do the same thing. It's tough. There's a lot of quarterbacks that could be on the move this season.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot.
I mean, we have a list of what have we done? 3 teams so far? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about like 12 teams here that could move quarterbacks. I mean, we're 20 minutes into the video already, and we've talked about 3 teams. There's a lot that could happen. I'm sure we'll do another video when free agency starts. But next we got, I didn't really touch on the 49ers. You pretty much it. I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like if they do beat Green Bay, if they beat Green Bay and go the NFC chip, I think Jimmy G has to stay. I don't think you can just throw him to the Wolves. Just that's for the same reason alone when it happened with the Eagles after Nick Foles won the Super Bowl and they had to keep Nick Foles. Even if they do keep Jimmy G and do start Trey Lance over Jimmy G, like the Eagles did with Carson Wentz and Nick Foles, but that's just going to start up a whole other quarterback controversy. Like I said, the 49ers are a tough team to predict for. A lot of these teams are because we really don't know. I feel like this game against the Packers will tell a lot. Jimmy G didn't have the greatest game against Dallas. He had a good game, but that interception at the end kind of really turned me off. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. In this next team, I'm really excited to talk about the Colts. There's another team.
Colts, they told Phillip Rivers to win them the game in Jacksonville, and he did not do it, so I think he's got to be on the move.
You mean Carson Wentz?
Yes.
You said Phillip Rivers. I think Carson Wentz is probably done. I wouldn't be surprised the Colts are a dark horse team, I think, who may take a shot at a quarterback in the draft. They did draft Sam Ehlinger in the 4th round, but he's a bitch. I think Carson Wentz done right. The GM couldn't commit to Carson Wentz. He said if trading for Carson Wentz felt like the right thing to do at the time, but after putting the game against Jacksonville in his hands, I guess that turned them off as well. I do think Carson Wentz will be a Colt. I don't think that he will be the starter. And if he is the starter, I think that there will be another quarterback waiting in line, like a Jimmy G, like a Malik Willis, like a Carson Strong, waiting to take his spot, like a Desmond Ridder. One of these guys waiting behind him, waiting for him to mess up to take his spot. Who knows? Maybe that'll light a fire under him. We all know Carson Wentz sucks when he's in a quarterback controversy. Just look what happened in Philly. Nick Foles and Jalen Hurts ran Carson Wentz out of Philly pretty much because he wasn't good in the controversy. I mean, that just shows what's going to happen here in Indianapolis. It's not a good situation for Carson Wentz. It's not a good situation for the Colts after what? They give up a first-round pick and the fourth-round pick for him. Not a good situation to be in, especially when that first-round pick did end up being a first and not a conditional second-round pick. Colts missed the playoffs, not good. Them trading the first-round pick was obviously them thinking they're going to make the playoffs and just be fine. But that wasn't the case here. I do think Carson Wentz will stay on the team unless they make a trade for him, like a Broncos, maybe like a Vikings or a Panthers or a Redskins even making a trade for him. But I don't think Carson Wentz is worth making a trade for, and I don't think that he'll be the starter for the Colts by the end of next season. Maybe he'll be the week 1 starter, but I don't think he'll be the starter by the end of next season. Maybe even cut him. I don't know what the financials are if they cut him, how much money they lose. But I don't think they'll cut him. I think that they're going to draft someone or bring in someone off of free agency or even make a trade for someone to replace him if he keeps underperforming like he did at the end of the season.
Yeah, Carson Wentz is done and should be on the move. Next team we're going to talk about is the Las Vegas Oakland Raiders and their situation. Personally, I think you keep the head coach. I know the betting favorite is Harbaugh, and we all know how I feel about Harbaugh. Both of them, they suck. So I would keep the head coach. He's done great for this team, all season. Through everything that they've been through, it's the fact that they made the playoffs and the fact that they were pretty close to winning the first round in the playoffs. I think it speaks a lot. They dealt with the Henry Ruggs situation. They dealt with John Gruden.
Damon Arnett. They
dealt with a lot of things, and they still ended up making the playoffs with this head coach. I think that's great. I think this head coach is great for the players. He wrote letters to each of them after the playoff game. That's cool and it's classy. I think that this head coach should stay. Derek Carr probably should stay too. I think he's good for the franchise. I'm not sure if there's like a Super Bowl inbound for the Raiders anytime soon, just because they're the Raiders. But I think that these two guys are good for the franchise, and I think that they should keep them both.
Yeah, I think this pretty much, Derek Carr already said it, and I'm just going to repeat what Derek Carr said. This, what they do at head coach is going to probably tell with Derek Carr's future. I'm sure Derek Carr doesn't want to play for another John Gruden, because we all saw how that ended up. I'm sure he's going to want to say on who they bring in as head coach. And if I'm the Raiders, I'm giving him that just because how good he's been. A few years ago, I think it was our freshman year of high school, the Raiders, he led them to the playoffs. I think they were 12-4, and he got hurt before the playoffs, and then they bought in John Gruden the year after that, and we all know how that ended up. Mike Mayock just got fired a couple hours ago. Derek Carr is good. I'm a big Derek Carr guy. That's Ryan. I've always been a Derek Carr guy. Big fan of the guy. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a good player. If I'm the Raiders, I'm letting Derek Carr get a say on the head coach. The Raiders, they were good this year. They keep the same offense, maybe draft an offensive lineman, and they help out the secondary of that defense, and the Raiders are a good team. They gave Cincinnati a game. They were competitive all year. I just think they need to bring in the right head coach that's for the players. And like you said, I don't remember his name. No disrespect to the guy, but the head coach, the interim head coach, I think if they stay with him, the players like him. I'm sure Derek Carr likes him, and I think that would be good for the morale of the team, and I think that's what's best for the team. But if not, if I had to guess, they'll probably make a move up and draft a quarterback. Trade some veteran players. We all know. It was with the past GM. They're getting a new GM. But Mike Mayock came in and was not afraid to make trades. He sent Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper back in his first year. So some of these GMs just come in. They're not afraid to trade veteran players. Maybe that could be the case. They have Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. It's a good situation for a coach and a GM to be going to. Arguably probably one of the best. They're a playoff team. It is the Raiders, I know. But they have a fresh stadium. They have a pretty decent roster. You just have a few decent-sized holes to fill, and you're competitive. So moving on, this team is nice, short, and sweet. It's the Falcons. I think they'll stick with Matt Ryan and draft a quarterback. They just brought in a new head coach. It's his second year. I think that they draft a quarterback and they keep Matt Ryan around for a year because it's way too much money. He's due way too much motherfucking money to be Matt Ryan. That's just me.
Yep, I agree with that 100%. Sit a quarterback for a year. We've seen how that's worked out with numerous teams in the NFL. So I think that's the move. Next team, we got the New York Giants. Danny Dimes is I don't know.
I think he's terrible.
Joe Judge got fired, meaning that this new head coach is going to make the decision, meaning that Danny Dimes is gone.
Yeah.
He was not good this season. The Giants aren't good in general. Team's just not that good. Saquon Barkley's got to go. Yeah, they're just not that good. Clean house, start over. I guess that's the only way to say it.
I mean, they have two top 6 picks.
Start over.
So, I mean,
clean
they're
house.
in a good situation.
Good situation with 2 players, and the rest are junk.
You send Daniel Jones packing for whatever you can get. I mean, maybe try and move Saquon.
You ain't moving Saquon.
Check the waters for what he's worth. I mean, they're okay on defense. I mean, they have a decent secondary. They got to retain Jabril Peppers. I mean, if they want to stay competitive, Xavier McKinney's been good. James Bradbury's been thrown around in some trade rumors lately, I've heard.
I heard he fell off a cliff this year.
Yeah, he did. He regressed a little bit after his breakout year. I do think Daniel Jones is gone, though. The Giants are in a perfect situation to draft a quarterback, or even if they want, maybe throw an offer for one of the quarterback. Oh, my God, Odell. Matt Stafford's so goddamn good. Maybe make a move for one of these veteran quarterbacks that have been talked about in trades. I could see a Jimmy Garoppolo to the Giants. I don't know why. I can just picture him in a Giants uniform. Maybe a Kirk Cousins, who we'll touch on in a little bit. I know I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying things that realistically I could see the Giants doing.
Giants going to start over.
I could see it. I mean, they're in a pretty good situation. They're getting a new head coach. They're getting a new GM as well.
You don't bring in a 30-year-old quarterback to start over. They're starting over.
It's fair. I mean, draft Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett or move back. I mean, maybe take that number 6 pick so you don't pick back-to-back, move back to like 10, 12, maybe bring in a second-round pick or a third-round pick. I mean, that's good. I know they have a first and a third-round pick this year for Justin Fields that they got when they traded with the Bears. So, I mean, the Giants are in a pretty good shape to start over. I do think Daniel Jones is gone, and I do like them starting over, maybe taking an offensive lineman at the number 5 pick and moving back to like the mid-10s, maybe 10, to draft a quarterback and bring in an extra pick. I think that would be good to do. We'll talk about that more, though, on our mock draft next week. Be on the lookout for that. The next team we got is the Texans. They sticking with Davis Longneck?
They have to, unless it is Watson.
Deshaun Watson.
Those are the 2 guys. There's nobody else that you can bring in. Mills did decent this year for the situation that he was given. If they do decide to keep Watson, though, that's what, so be it. If they get Flores, they're probably keeping Watson, and they're going to see what happens, try to trade Davis Mills to try to build up a team again.
Yeah.
It's Davis Mills or Watson, and that's the only answer. That's it.
Yeah. Moving on to Denver. I think it's draft a quarterback. I've seen a lot of mock drafts not drafting them a quarterback. Like, I've seen a lot. I mean, I just did it last mock draft. My thing is, though, quarterbacks don't fall, and them waiting till the second round may not be good because, like I said, top quarterbacks don't fall, especially with how hot of a commodity quarterback is, and especially when we have a list of almost 15 teams, that's almost half the league, that need quarterback or could be in the market to move a quarterback. I think Denver could make a move for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think they're a very good situation to win now. It's tough to say, though. I mean, it's not Teddy Bridgewater. It's not Drew Lock, like I thought. I think it's either draft a quarterback or Aaron Rodgers here. It's not Jimmy G. It's not Kirk Cousins, because in theory, they're all the same as Teddy fucking Bridgewater. So, I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers, quarterback, or draft a quarterback and build around him. Because, I mean, the offense is already pretty good. They on paper, they have a good receiving room, and Javonte Williams is a stud, and the offensive line really hasn't been that bad when they've been healthy. So, I mean, I think it's draft a quarterback or you trade for Aaron Rodgers.
Unfortunately, Aaron Rodgers isn't going to go to Denver because nobody wants to.
The
only person that would go to Denver is Jimmy G, and that's not bad because Jimmy G is at least decent in football. He's better than Kirk Cousins. He's done more in playoffs than Kirk Cousins. And I don't see Aaron Rodgers going to Denver. Peyton Manning did, but Peyton Manning sucked in Denver his second year, his Super Bowl year. And Denver was a much better team then. Denver had one of the best defenses of all time. They don't have that anymore. They don't have anything anymore. They're going to have a new coach, and a new coach isn't going to attract Aaron Rodgers. Jimmy G might, though, because Jimmy G might not have a job at all, and getting a starting spot in Denver might be what he wants. It's not a bad thing for Denver. If they build up that defense again like they have before, Jimmy G can win them a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Jimmy G is as good as that Peyton Manning, so if they build up that defense again, Jimmy G is a decent quarterback to win them a Super Bowl.
Moving on to Washington.
Your
Team
team.
that needs a quarterback.
Your team, you can take them.
I think they need to draft a quarterback. I think they need to make a move up and draft a quarterback. Where are they picking right now? I don't remember.
I think top 10, like around 9.
I mean, they got to draft a quarterback. I think Matt Corral fits perfect in a Ron Rivera offense. I think Kenny Pickett could as well. I think Malik Willis could as well. I think they need a quarterback like Taylor Heineke because, I mean, they've been trying to let him run around the pocket, do this read option stuff. Taylor Heineke's just not very good. That's the fact of the matter. I know they like the guy and good for him. I don't have anything personal against Taylor Heineke. I just think they need to draft a quarterback, and I think who they will draft is better. Even if they do keep Taylor Heineke and let Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett or whoever they draft sit behind him for a few games, develop maybe even another year. I think the Washington, whoever they're going to be, they're announcing the name in a couple weeks, I think. Whoever that they draft or whatever they do a quarterback, I mean, I think the team is ready to win. I mean, on paper, they're a really good team. They need a new defensive coordinator. Ron Rivera is not a bad coach. They need another wide receiver, and they need a quarterback. They could do that in this draft. This is a very deep receiver class. And, I mean, if they can use their top pick on a quarterback and grab a receiver in the second round, I think they'll be good. Just whether they can land a Matt Corral, a Kenny Pickett, or a Sam Howell even to sit with Taylor Heineke and to learn from these guys, I think that'd be big. So I don't think it's Taylor Heineke here, but I also don't think that they make a move for anyone. I think that they want to start fresh. Maybe a Jimmy G. I think Jimmy G, especially if he has a good game against Green Bay, even if they lose, if he has a good game, I think he'll draw a lot of attention in this quarterback market and in these quarterback names that we're going to see this year being thrown around and these teams that need a quarterback. Jimmy G could make some noise. But, I mean, we won't know till the playoffs. And like I said, this is just us giving a brief outlook on what we think could happen before the playoffs and before we know a lot.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you're throwing out the phrase ready to win a little bit too gingerly.
It's fair.
Washington sucks. They're going to get a rookie quarterback because I don't think a veteran helps them, in my opinion. Bringing in a veteran would just deny the inevitable.
It's fair.
That's my opinion. But the Lions are next up. I don't know. Personally, I think they kind of, the right thing to do. I don't know. This is tough. I would probably lean towards maybe keeping Jared Goff one more time with this top 3 pick. You can argue a quarterback, but I don't think there's any quarterbacks that warrant a top 3 pick. So maybe the trade back, draft a quarterback thing could work, or they could just go ahead and draft the best available player there. That was 2, pick second, right?
Did they pick second?
At that second pick, one of those edge rushers. And I think that could work out for him just because you're getting the best player. So, yeah, in my opinion, I would keep Jared Goff one more time. I don't think he was the reason that the Lions sucked this year. And I think that just try to build up a team and, kind of see what you have because there's no quarterbacks that warrant a top 2 pick right now.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a good stage of a rebuild. They have 2 first-round picks this year, an extra third-round pick on top of the 34th overall pick and the whatever the third-round pick is. I mean, they have a lot of picks in this draft. They're at a good spot of a rebuild. I wouldn't mind them trading back from 2 and passing up on Hutchinson or Thibodeau to move back into maybe even like the round 5, 6, 7. I mean, maybe even 10. I mean, you can get probably 2 first-round picks and another late-round pick from jumping from 2 overall to. I mean, we saw what the Eagles gave up to jump to, or the Rams gave up to draft Jared Goff. I mean, they gave up a shit ton to move to number 1. I mean, number 2 is just as valuable. You're still getting arguably the best player in the class. So, I mean, I wouldn't mind a trade back, especially for where they're at in a rebuild. I don't think Jared Goff was necessarily the problem either. I just think that they were in a bad spot. I mean, they literally have no one. Amon-Ra stepped onto the scene like I thought he would. DeAndre Swift was pretty good. Their offensive line's good. Their defense is just so bad that their offense is on the field way too much, and their offense isn't that good to be on the field that much. So, I mean, that's where I'm at. I don't think Jared Goff was the problem. I don't think Jared Goff is a terrible quarterback like he's made out to be at times. Like I said, I wouldn't mind a trade back, but I also wouldn't mind them grabbing arguably the best player in the class either. I guess we'll have to see. I think the Lions are in a good spot in terms of a rebuild, but it's the Detroit Lions, so I'm sure they'll fuck it up somehow.
Being in Detroit probably isn't a great player destination. This next team is the Minnesota Vikings.
What the fuck?
Another team that's really like denying them an inevitable type of deal.
Yeah.
They have Justin Jefferson Dalvin Cook.
Adam Thielen.
That's about it. Adam Thielen's getting up there in age. Danielle Hunter's hurt every year. The defensive backs can't guard anything. Kirk Cousins, we all know what Kirk Cousins is. So in my opinion, I would probably do like a rebuild type of deal, just to try to build hope within the organization, because I think everybody knows that Kirk Cousins is not going to win this team a Super Bowl. Yeah. Justin Jefferson is a smart enough man to know that Kirk Cousins is not going to win him a Super Bowl, and I think that's the right thing to do. I'm glad Mike Zimmer got fired. The whole thing, are we going to see Kellen Mond this week? I see him every day at practice. You know, he started a third-string quarterback over Kellen Mond, not giving him a shot at all. I think that the Vikings made the right decision firing him, and yes. I think that it's not going to be a great season for him. I think they rebuild and, kind of see what happens. Maybe if they want to go get a cheap quarterback, Huntley might be available.
Yeah.
So I would maybe lean that route.
I don't know. I mean, this is a tough call. They did use a third-round pick on Kellen Mond, but we are going to see a new head coach, a new general manager in. So, I mean, it really just depends on what they do. It sounds like a lot of these same teams are interviewing the same head coaches. Gerard Mayo's been getting interviewed. Dan Quinn's been getting interviewed by a lot of these teams. I would think he would be a decent fit of the Vikings. I think he would fit good, but it sounds like he may be on his way to Denver.
Kellen Moore
is available.
Sucks.
I mean, there's a lot. Jim Harbaugh's being thrown around there. Josh McDaniels is in there every year. I mean, there's a lot of these guys. The 49ers defensive coordinators being thrown around in there. It just, honestly, the Vikings, they need to bring in a good head coach. Brian fucking Flores. I mean, Brian Flores, I think the Vikings, if they want to win soon.
Did you mention Tampa's offense coordinator?
No. Todd Bowles, defensive coordinator, and Leftwich. I mean, there's a lot of names being thrown around this head coach carousel, like there always is. The Vikings, I mean, they are a good situation. They have, like I said, they're getting up there to a team that kind of like the Steelers, where they need to win soon. They have a young Justin Jefferson. They have a Dalvin Cook. But they have a lot of these guys that are kind of getting older. Eric Kendricks is fairly young still, out of
UCLA.
Yes. Anthony Barr's getting up there. Pat Pete, Cam Dantzler's young. He's a young piece. They have Michael Pearson, Dalvin Tomlinson on the defensive line. They have Brian O'Neill, who they just gave a big extension to. Christian Darrisaw, who's been pretty good this year when he's been healthy. They have a lot of veterans, but they also have some good young pieces as well. This is a kind of an attractive head coaching spot, in my opinion. It's just the fact that they are in Minnesota. But the big names that they do have in the potential could be a lot. I mean, especially if they can move Kirk Cousins. I mean, we've seen what some of these quarterbacks are worth. There's a lot of teams that could shake up things at quarterback. Kirk Cousins is a great backup, but he's Phillip Rivers, Tony Romo. They're all the same player. So, I mean, I don't know what the Vikings will do in these last two teams. This is a long video. The Panthers. I think they're drafting a quarterback, and I think that's what they need to do.
They got to draft a quarterback for Brigham Watson. This coach might be inclined to go get a quarterback to show what he can do, because he is on the hot seat.
Yeah,
so maybe bringing in a veteran can show that he can get 8 wins in a season. I'm not sure. I think the right decision is to draft a quarterback, but who knows what a sorry coach would do.
Yeah. And then
the Browns stick with Baker.
I think they need to stick with Baker. It sounds like they are, but I mean, you never know what could happen. Teams could be saying that just to be making moves behind the scenes. I mean, it is a business. Shit can change. We've seen it happen before. The Panthers, they definitely got to draft a quarterback or go out and get one, because, I mean, you could argue Matt Rule, let me finally draft a quarterback and let me develop him. I mean, it didn't work for Matt Patricia when I thought they should have done it. It didn't work for Daniel Jones and the Giants. It didn't work with Joe Judge. I mean, Brian Flores got fired for that. So, I mean, it all just depends. I think that if he wants to keep his job, the way the NFL works, you need to have a winning season. And drafting a quarterback, I don't think warrants that, because you're not getting a Joe Burrow or a Justin Herbert like we've seen before in draft class. You're getting a Matt Corral or Kenny Pickett, guys who may need a year to develop or a few games to develop or may not thrive right away, like we've seen some of these other rookies do. But, I mean, that may not necessarily be a bad thing for some of these other teams. But for a coach like Matt Rule, who needs to prove something to the GM with the talent he has on the team, he needs to go get an Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, even a Jimmy G, just to prove that he can win. And I think that's going to wrap up this video. It's a long one. If you stuck around, thank you. Be sure to check out the podcast. We did our weekly roundup of the playoff predictions, went over the bets, the money I won, the money that I lost, the money I could potentially be winning. We talked all about it. We did an early look into some of the games this weekend. Be sure to check it out. Show some love, subscribe, like the video, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you.
Peace.